Racing is my dream.
Hi, it's a real pleasure. Thank you. My God!
Welcome to the spectacular Grand Prix!
Great drivers don't need help.
I'm your friend.
I don't have friends.
I can't see anything!
I'll guide you.
And now my sabotage.
We're gonna save the Grand Prix!
And that's why I love this race so much!
Your arm's like a noodle.
I'm over here.
There's your arm. Congratulations, it's not broken. Everybody, let's go.
Michael, first of all, congratulations. When you look at the pictures, especially the trailer, it looks so awesome. I'm really looking forward to this film, but maybe to come back to the beginning a little, Edda's big dream is to race. Is this also a dream come true for you, to release this feature film? Yes, definitely. It was always wonderful for me to see these two passions, that of mechanical engineer Franz Mack, who tended to think in terms of feasibility and impracticability, physical forces, and Ulrich Damrau, who was our storyteller, the artist who ultimately added this story dimension to Europa-Park. And I was always torn between the two. My father wanted me to become a mechanical engineer, but I was always drawn to the world of stories, and so we started making our first short film, The Secret of Balthazar Castle.
Hold on, we're coming!
And then, with further films, we slowly approached the subject of making a full-length film. And that actually began with the cinema in the park, telling stories there. The Secret of Balthazar Castle is ultimately also the core of the park. Thomas and I grew up here. We lived in the castle. Of course, we often searched the cellars and attics for relics from the past. You could say we processed our childhood in the first 4D film.
You bet. Gotta try it yourself sometime.
What kind of place is this?
My grandfather's workshop. The inventor of the roller coaster? Yes. Master Mack.
He looks like you.
This is where it all began. This is where he designed his first roller coaster.
Michael, what do you love about being able to tell stories visually? On the one hand, the fact that they can of course be published all over the world, that they can be consumed or viewed anywhere, but also that they are to a certain extent an extension of the park. That you can experience the positive emotions you have in the park, this first, let's say, encounter between several generations, the connection with this mouse, with Ed Euromouse, because he has made so many people happy. I'm sure that there are so many pictures of him in our guests' children's rooms, and I just think it's wonderful that you can now experience Ed Euromouse and Edda everywhere. I hope that this adventure won't be the last, and that people will get exactly the same emotions on the big screen as we want to convey. I'm quite sure that there will be many more adventures for Ed and Edda. Let's jump back a little further, because you lived the dream. You grew up in a theme park. I don't think there's anything better for children than that. Is it true that your father always took you out at night so you could go go-karting in the park? He didn't take us with him because he knew we were just as hot-headed as he probably was in his youth. He used to drive go-karts around the company premises himself, which drove our grandfather crazy. When he would race under the trucks, his grandfather was probably more scared than impressed, and I think that's how my father felt too. Back then, the park was still relatively small, so you didn't have to worry about any electric cars getting in your way at the weekend. In fact, Thomas and I always used to get the electric car out of its hiding place. We did race a lot and often ended up in the empty lakes. We crashed through windows. It was pretty wild.
Edda, you gotta hit the brakes!
Brakes are for beginners.
There's nothing that can stop us.
And I'm sure that's where I got this passion for petrol, which may also have something to do with the current film, in that I've incorporated this racing driver past or childhood memories into the film. Let's get back to your personal adventure. You mentioned that your father had a different vision for you than the path that you have now chosen, or rather, the path you are now pursuing. How difficult was it to convince the Mack family of your idea to start making films in addition to running the theme park? We have made 5 films for the Magic Cinema, and my father couldn't relate to the world of film per se, but then we made Voletarium with Holger Tappe, and when he came out in the evening after Voletarium was finished, he said to me, "Michael, I think Holger Tappe really has something." He finally understood that films can also trigger emotions when he saw the film in combination with the mechanical engineering of the Voletarium. We don't know this business field. Of course, we have a wonderful partner at our side in Holger Tappe and today's MACK Animation, formerly Ambient Entertainment. They are absolute professionals when it comes to filmmaking. We have brought in the best expertise in Germany, if not Europe. But we just didn't know this business model. You mentioned MACK Animation and MACK One. We're sitting here in front of this beautiful office building in France. MACK One. What does that mean to you? So is that the number 1, or is it meant to be more subtle? No, it's intended to be more subtle. But a good question, because so many people who know Europa-Park really only know Europa-Park. They know it exists, and hopefully even more people will know after this feature film that Ed and Edda are its main characters. The Mack family exists somewhere, but I simply wanted to put the Mack family name at the forefront because it is 250 years old. For me, MACK One is an umbrella organization that brings together all the family's expertise and hopefully can market it to the outside world. This now includes feature films, animated films, but also interactive media, VR coaster, MACK rides. In other words, everything that takes place outside the park. And I believe we still have a lot of potential and many opportunities here. But Michael, couldn't you have just made a film about a theme park? Why the Grand Prix? I completely agree with you. Of course, we could have done that. I wouldn't say it's a completely different film to Europa-Park. It has the same values, but it's not set in Europa-Park, and I think that's crucial. We're in Paris, we're at Neuschwanstein Castle, we're in Italy. This allows it to span the European theme concept that we have in our park, but in a different way, without being an advertising film for Europa-Park. And that's very important for the reach of this film. Everyone knows Europe, but not Europa-Park. And in that respect, I believe that a Brazilian or an Indian viewer can identify more with the subject of Europe than with a theme park. To find out about how the story came about, we talked to the professionals at MACK Magic.
Welcome to the spectacular Grand Prix!
Great drivers don't need help.
Thank you very much, David and Tobias, for allowing me to be your guest here in your hallowed halls. What exactly happens here? There's a lot going on here. This is actually where the idea for the film project originated here at MACK Magic. We are in charge of the storytelling for the MACK Group, brand development, and really the heart and beginning of content production. Tobias, when you say storytelling, what exactly does that mean? For us, storytelling means something really exciting, something that is somewhat unique in the world. We don't do storytelling in one medium, but in various media. Our DNA is the theme park, the theming of an amusement park, and MACK Magic brings a whole new level of storytelling to it. We tell real stories in attractions, but our goal is to go beyond the attraction and into various media, books, audio plays, and now, for the first time, a feature film that will be released in cinemas worldwide. That takes us straight to the film, because I think that's the exciting part, and you're mainly responsible for that, I would say. How do you go about turning an attraction, or let's say, the symbol of the theme park, into a story? How do you develop that script? With this film, it was a rather special situation because for us, this is the film to mark 50 years of Europa-Park. We brainstormed an incredible number of different ideas and developed a large amount of content, some of it very detailed, in order to get a feel for it and to get a little closer to what is actually the story that fits this park. Then we looked at what would go down best here in the park with the MACK family, while not forgetting the distributors who would then have to bring it to cinemas worldwide. How closely do you collaborate on such stories? We have a vision. The MACK family sees itself as an entertainment company, and Michael Mack's grand idea is to create decentralized entertainment that goes beyond Europa-Park, and by using the Europa-Park platform, really enters children's bedrooms around the world. We build our stories on what we have created here, on our DNA and the Euromels. Ed and Edda, the characters of Europa-Park, who have been around for 50 years now. For their 50th birthday, we simply thought this was our chance to really go out there and tell a story with our mascots, to turn them into transmedia brands with attractions, audio plays, Tony figures, computer games, and a film. David, as you just said, you have developed a wide variety of content. What were the approaches? What were the original ideas? In addition to this Grand Prix, this big race through Europe, we developed various stories in which Ed and Edda were mascots at a theme park and had to save the park in different ways. We had one specific story idea that we pursued very far. We were already in the second or third draft of the script, which was called Saving Joy. Suddenly, joy had disappeared from the world, and Ed and Edda had to bring it back. We had some funny and pretty cool ideas in there, like the mascots being their own species, who live in Mascot Town, and so on. We had ideas for a kind of mini-Europe. It was called Europia, which was a little island, and each small area on the island was like a little country. And then we had our big race across Europe, where things like speed, action, and adrenaline, which play a role here in the park, were put into a European context. And in the end, that was the approach that convinced the international distributors and the MACK family the most. Then we really started developing the story, involving international writers, because we wanted to develop the script for the international market. We had a great English writer, Kirsty Falkus, on board, but also colleagues from America with whom we had worked before, Baboon Animation, who are great script doctors. In many long sessions, we asked ourselves, how do we turn this very cool, basic idea into a script that will work around the world? Yes, thank you very much for this insight. It's an exciting story, challenging and very emotional, and now we're naturally keen to find out how it will all be brought to life at MACK Animation in Hanover. Lars and Waldemar, Michael invited me to come and take a look around to see where you are at, and above all, what you do. Lars, you are the executive producer for the film. What does an executive producer do? I basically make sure that all the many teams and components working on this film work well together and are perfectly coordinated, that people know what they have to do. On behalf of the park and Michael Mack, I ensure that there is a film at the end of it all. You can tell us a little more about how many people work on a film like this in a moment. But Waldemar, you're a director of animated films. For people who don't know what a director does in an animated film, perhaps you could explain it briefly. The biggest task is definitely converting the written word into images with the help of many artists and many computers. A lot of drawing. That's basically the job. After the written word, the script, the storyboard is created, then the animatic, and then it goes into animation and finally into rendering. That's where the final image is created. I am involved in all these processes. Lars, tell us how many people work on a film like this, because it sounds like a lot. Yes, in the overall course of such a production, the acute production phase lasts about 2.5 years, and before that, there is the script development and everything else that goes into pre-production. Right now, during the peak phase of production, we have over 100 people working on it. Who exactly works on the project changes over the course of time. At the beginning, there's a lot of design and art department work, storyboards. Then, during post-production, we add sound, music, and everything else. So a large number of people are involved throughout the project. Very talented people. Are there special effects in animated films? Like stunts, or are there special scenes in big productions? The special effects we use are, as always, water, which is a huge undertaking. We also have a lot of furry animals, and fur is also a very complex effect. People like to say, never kill your darlings. In this case, you've created so many beautiful characters. Be honest, who is your favorite character from the film you created? I like Edda and Edda, of course, although I find Edda extremely exciting with her lively nature and, above all, with Gemma Arterton's voice and acting. It always inspires me to try my hand at animation and portray emotions myself. So that means you have the image, and then at some point the voice is added. Is that a moment when you say you want to add a little dimple or raise the eyebrow because Gemma or the dubbing actors generally portray a different style? Is that a situation where you want to or can change something?
Einen anderen Duktus haben? Ist das dann so eine Situation, wo man was verändern will oder kann? Speziell da.
It's particularly in that moment that we often see, or at least I see in my head, the individual animation steps, where the eyebrow is raised, where the dimple appears, and so on. The voice recordings are actually a great source of inspiration for me and the animator. We are producing the film in English. This means that the English voice recordings are the recordings on which the animation is based. The film will then be dubbed into German because Germany has such an excellent dubbing culture that can deliver the highest quality. There are a few advantages to animating in English. And of course, it is also important to us that the film can be seen and appreciated by an international audience all over the world. We have just learned how important actors and actresses are for an animated film like this, and we got a glimpse behind the scenes during the dubbing work. Here are some wonderful pictures.
Look! Somebody more famous than me! No! 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 Stop! Stop! I can't believe it either.
I just saved Ed's life with my driving skills.
Hübsch gesagt, Laberbacke. Aber nicht so. Aber nicht so. Aber nicht so. Aber nicht so.
Hallo! Hallo!
Wenn Europa eure Leinwand ist, ist der Grand Prix das Meisterwerk.
It's your canvas. The Grand Prix is your masterpiece.
T'es en train de perdre, ce qui veut dire que je vais perdre. Ça jamais, je ne peux pas perdre.
C'est certain, Enzo, cet événement riche en actions et rebondissements sera truffé de pièges, de virages truqués, de trappes tordues, de tricheries et de trahisons.
Now the great characters finally have a voice, but to make Mack Magic's film truly complete, it still needs music. And that comes from a man who has rightly won 1 Oscar so far. There are many more to come. That man is Volker. Volker, you already worked together on Chaos in Wonderland. How did this collaboration come about? In 2017, I received a call asking if I would be interested in composing the soundtrack for a short 4D film for Europa-Park. It was called Chaos in Wonderland.
If only you could see this now, Grandpa. What our park has finally become. I wish I could show it to you.
Somehow I saw this as a great opportunity in several respects. For the first time, I was able to try my hand at an animated film, which was quite small, and see how it went, because an animated film presents a completely different challenge than a thriller or something like that, right? And even back then, you had high standards for what you composed and created, which led to your first Oscar. Hopefully, the first of many awards to come in the future for the film All Quiet on the Western Front. And then you got back together with Europa-Park, because what was a short 4D film turned into a long-term adventure for Ed and Edda.
Zeitabenteuer von Ed und Edda.
How did you find out that Michael wanted to hire you for it, and was it immediately clear to you that this was the next animated film you wanted to work on? Last year, I got a call from Frank Höninger, who asked me if I would like to participate in a longer film. And the first thing that came to mind was, of course, I would love to, because I actually feel that I am on this earth to learn. And you can only learn by taking on projects you haven't done before, or where you know you want to broaden your horizons, you want to gain new experiences. For me, animated films require a completely different way of thinking. You have to stay very close to the plot. I found that very challenging, and I immediately said, I want to do that.
Weaving through the race like a kid dodging broccoli at dinner time. Oh no, out of nowhere, as always, Edda's nemesis appears, the mysterious Nachtkrab.
What was the most difficult scene for you to create the music for, and why? The hardest parts for me were actually the races, because the race scenes are very, very long, and you have to play with sound effects the whole time. There are engine noises, explosions. Things falling over. So you have a lot of background noise, and at the same time you have 6 or 7 minutes of music. I think that after 3 or 4 minutes the music basically becomes a second piece or a third piece. So you have to divide it into sections. And what's incredibly difficult about that is finding the tempo at the beginning, and the tempo changes throughout. What's your favorite sound in nature? The woodpecker. It's like a modular synthesizer, where you can adjust the modulation so that it goes a little slower. It's... A lot of work and passion and a wide variety of components are mixed together to create a great adventure on the big screen. Whether this will be well received by the audience and, above all, whether it will evoke the emotions we hope for in the Mack family remains to be seen at a small exclusive premiere.
Film has always been his passion, and when he made The Secret of Balthasar Castle back in 2011, he said he would release a feature film one day. 14 years later, he has actually done it.
To bring a film like this to the cinemas, with the release date already so close, and to finally see it in its entirety for the first time today, it was a truly remarkable event.
It's incredibly emotional, and I'm so happy for the whole team, but also for Michael, because it's been a very, very intense project.
It was a really great film. I think the fans, families and guests have something to look forward to.
I was particularly impressed by Edda's character. Her cheerful, crazy, cheeky, phenomenal manner. I think she carried the film. This is, of course, a completely different kind of advertising than what we've done in recent years, especially when you consider that it will be shown in cinemas worldwide. It's truly amazing. A beautiful film, full of action and emotion. It might even bring a tear to your eye.
A big thank you to Michael and his team. It's just wonderful to see this now and to give our children a little insight into history. I wish the film every success. I was just thinking about how I or we could give the father a gift. Of course, it's not just for my father, but also on behalf of the many, many people who enjoy going to this park. How can Mack Magic contribute to this anniversary year? It has been a long-standing dream of the team to make this film, and I believe it is the perfect gift, at least for me, for the 50th birthday. And I think my father also sees it as a special gift. The mood, somewhere between turbulence and emotionality, is exceptionally well done, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it will be a success. I'm actually convinced it will be. I'm now looking forward to the premiere in Berlin and in many other great cities across Europe. It's a very special feeling because it's completely innovative and very emotional. Of course, there have been years of production and financial risk, but it has turned out to be a great story. And when you consider that 6 seconds of film take a week to produce, you get an idea of the outstanding work that the film crew, the producers, and ultimately everyone who worked on it have achieved here. Michael, looking back now, 6 years from the initial idea to the completion of the feature film, how does that feel for you now? Yes, at first it didn't seem that long, because 6 years, when you say it now, is a long time for a film like this. It's definitely a relief. It's a relief to have taken this step, but also to have ended up with such a great product, which many generations of Macks will perhaps see as a standard work. And it's nice to look back and remember that we were brave enough to take this step back then. Roland Emmerich once said that a film is never really finished. How do you feel now about Ed and Edda's journey? It is indeed a strange feeling, and Holger Tapper always said to me, you know, at some point the film will be released and there will be nothing more you can do. The fact is that all the reactions are still to come. That means I am still curious to see what the feedback will be like. Here at Europa-Park we can continue to make improvements and tweaks throughout the season. It's a different feeling that I've never had before, and now I'm naturally extremely excited to see how the film will be received. But I think I'm just content. I mean, there's that beautiful saying, the journey is the destination, and we've been on that journey. I'm proud of my team, I'm proud of everyone who contributed to it. First and foremost, of course, Holger Tappe, who handed us a great company and entrusted us with the task of continuing to run this baby. And I think we've achieved something great. I'm grateful to the people here in the park who believed in it and who created this wonderful attraction. I'm also grateful to my family for allowing us to go down this path. And as I said, the journey is the destination, and I'm glad we took it. What kind of reaction would you like to see from the audience? What would be the biggest compliment for you, something that would really mean a lot to you? That the children leave with the same emotions they experience here at Europa-Park. There's nothing better than that, and that's the reward for our work when you stand at the park gates in the evening or morning on a busy day and see families arriving, having looked forward to their visit for a long time, and then leaving the park happy. Of course, I won't be able to be at every cinema in the world to see them come in and out of every screening, but if they have the same smile on their faces as when they leave Europa-Park, that would be wonderful. It's not just the feature film. There's so much more to this project that you've put together over the last 6 years. Maybe you could give us a brief glimpse of what else you have planned. We are committed to perfection. We are currently sitting in our new attraction, Adventure. We simply hope that we can inspire people with the quality and that we can naturally exploit the synergies that we gain from the film on our Yulby platform, on Coastiality, on other formats, 4D films, books, interactive games, and whatever else may come in the way of games, and then hopefully make a second film. It's important that we don't get carried away, that we just make sure we deliver perfect quality in everything we do. But I think we need to take a deep breath now because it's been an intense few years. And enjoy it properly, yes. Michael, in Hamburg we say, let's get to it, don't talk too much, just do. So let's not talk about it, let's go for a ride. All right, let's do it.